Well, we are working on part 3 of this watercolor Loomis figure, female figure, that we've dropped at least two videos on just this watercolor process so far. We worked on establishing a quick sketch on Canson paper in our first video, starting out with the mannequin, adding on the form and the shapes and the contour edge work, getting that sketch ready for the watercolor. Part 2 is about adding the watercolor, working with it, and creating a watercolor sketch. And this one is now the same process, sketching everything out, Loomis method, mannequin, form, shape, contour, edges, and sketching it onto a good piece of watercolor paper. This is an upper end student grade still watercolor paper, Strathmore 400, so it's going to be a better paper. It's going to hold moisture longer, and I have the intent I have the intent on this one to be a little more expensive, not quite as constipated as my first one on the Canson paper. And that just goes to show you that I'm really still pretty tight and getting kind of tuned back up working with my figures, since I haven't taught this class in a year or so, a little over a year. So I have been neglecting my figure studies and keeping my hand up at it. So that's what I'm working real hard to get this skill set reestablished, because I do think people are very interested in this subject. So I'll be providing a lot more of these figure and portrait and face tutorials in the near future. All right, why don't we get started on this one and we'll see where this goes. So I have the sketch already here, already done. I'm not going to suffer you through that process one more time, although it is a good process to watch and practice. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to focus on trying to get a more expressive, more loose, and more creative looking watercolor. I'm still going to be using my small pan set that has the limited color palette. I don't need a lot of color in this. I just need to work with my primary and secondary and tertiary colors effectively, and I have that all available in this small pan set. And I'm trying to decide where I want to go with this first. I think I'm going to start with kind of a red and rose color down here in this primary red. Get some nice tints. This is going to be a thin mixture, not a lot of pigment to it. Mainly I'm just going to block in some initial colors in a very loose manner on the paper. It dries lighter, I got that in mind. I want to keep this fast, loose, and expressive. I'm going to blow out the idea of I'm following any outlines or anything initially in this initial state. So this is going to be a little scary. We'll see where it goes. I am going to try to protect a little bit of the swimming suit there, maybe not drop too much color there. But other than that, I'm just going to start throwing a little bit of color in here and see where she goes. Well, I lied about that, didn't I? So, right like that. All right, I got enough pigment already. I'm just gonna feather that out and let it do its thing. So I'm just trying to get some interesting color gradients. So there's a lot of color movement happening. Picking is the best when it's wet. There is no detail work that I'm focusing on just yet. Okay, and I'm working harmonious colors right now. And I'm just, while things are still damp, things can move around a little bit still. I'm just dropping in additional color. Try to just work with some nice primary, secondary colors. I'm not worried about shades, but I am trying to get some of the color of the density established on the form. All right, so this one's looking a lot more colorful than the initial study, and that's a lot of reasons why you would do an initial study, is just to kind of work out what you might want to do and know what you don't want to do from what you did in the study. Sometimes the studies turn out perfect, you made all the right decisions, but the study's intent and purpose is really to kind of guide you and inform you as to what you could do in your final piece. I have let this dry, had all the color blocking done roughly. So now it's going to be a matter of coming in and really starting to punch up the saturation, find the structure and detail, and get the last bits put together on this for this quick little watercolor that I was trying to get something to look a little better. Well, anyway, God, I need to get my together, man. So we are into stage 3. I'm mixing up a nice, strong, contrasting shade there. I'm going to start drawing and painting structure, detail, contrast, just providing all of the oomph, the pop to the figure. We have all the blocking in, the colors, everything's doing its thing from the previous 2 stages, the color blocking and then finding the shapes and saturation. This stage right here, where it starts to come alive, you really can start manipulating, pulling and popping detail, refining, getting the piece to really come together. So I'm just going to bounce around the entire figure, work on the face, work through the figure, find the deepest shadows, define some edges. So here we go. So I'm done working a lot of the contour edges. I did a little bit of line work, contour edges, broken line, and now I'm coming back in and adding a little more saturated colors, some more glazes, a little deeper reds, give her a little more color. Try to protect those highlights. And we'll just bounce around the figure now and pop and intensify the saturation on some of the color. Work up some purple, drop it into that shadow leg. Up on the upper thigh, along the elbow, just dropping it around, intensifying the shade, the shadows a little bit. So I've been working around on the figure in the face, adding that color back in. Now I've grabbed my Pro White and I'm just popping around on the figure, adding and restoring some of the highlights I may have lost if I didn't protect them. Coming in with the Pro White and getting some of the highlight edges, rim light, highlight on the hair, on the nose. Just those little touches of white that really start to pop the figure and give it a little more depth. Alright, as I'm finishing this piece up, I just want to let you know I do have free download links to Loomis PDFs on my website. The link is in the video description. I also have a Patreon page if you like what I've been doing on this YouTube channel with my tutorials. Please go over to Patreon, become a member, and help support this channel. I really appreciate all the support that you've given me so far. And if you've gotten any value out of this tutorial, please give me a like and a subscribe. It means a lot to me. I like seeing the comments, so drop me a few comments as well. And here's the final piece. This is my final attempt on this piece. I have done this enough. I won't do it again. I promise. But it turned out. I think it worked out pretty well. And the proportions don't look too bad. So, hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.